Imagine hitting a target 1,200 miles away, deep behind enemy lines. And it's not just a one-off.
No, not at all.
It's happening almost daily now, directly hitting the energy source that funds the war effort. It's quite something.
It really is a shift.
Welcome to the Military Point.
Glad to be here.
Before we continue, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? We'd love to know.
Yeah, let us know.
So today we're doing a deep dive into this rapid escalation of Ukraine's drone campaign.
Specifically against Russia's oil and gas infrastructure, right?
Exactly. We've got some compelling sources that really lay out the scale, the strategy, what this potent new form of attack actually means.
Yeah, the data from the Open Source Center really paints a picture. It's not just the drones are being used, it's the frequency. That's what's changed everything.
Right, the tempo.
You look back just a few months, June had, what, only one significant strike reported?
Just one, and July maybe two. It was barely a blip.
Barely a blip. You could almost dismiss them as isolated incidents, maybe testing things out. But then, August hits, and September. And suddenly, it's a completely different story.
It really took off.
The sources count at least 58 attacks on key energy sites since the start of August.
58?
Yeah, 18 in August, and then it jumped to 31 in September alone.
Wow. So we went from a trickle to a serious, sustained campaign.
A flood, really, in just a matter of weeks.
And it's not just how often, it's how far they're reaching. That's the other piece that jumps out.
Absolutely. The range. We're seeing UAVs hitting targets up to, what, 2,000 kilometers?
It's about 1,200 miles, yeah. Deep inside Russia. Think about that for a second. What really stands out to you about a 1,200-mile strike capability? The logistics.
The logistics are immense. The guidance needed, keeping it on target over that distance, avoiding detection. It implies a real technological leap.
It certainly does, and maybe some sophisticated planning and intelligence behind it, too.
No doubt. And it changes the whole security calculation for Russia. Places that felt safe, deep inland, maybe not so safe anymore.
Exactly. And these aren't random hits either. They're going after specific high-value targets.
Refineries, yeah.
Pumping stations. Big storage depots, even the export terminals where the money comes in.
They're hitting the economic engine, which leads right into the why, doesn't it?
It does. Why this strategy? Well, Zelensky apparently put it pretty bluntly. He called these attacks
the sanctions that work the fastest. Yeah, I saw that quote.
It's direct action. Forget waiting for complex financial measures to bite. This has an immediate effect.
And a senior Ukrainian official basically confirmed it, right?
Yeah.
The goal is pretty straightforward. Create fuel shortages inside Russia.
Gasoline, diesel, the stuff needed for the front lines, but also for, everyday life. Make it harder for Moscow.
Hit them where it hurts, both militarily and domestically.
And the impact. It's not theoretical. We can see it in the numbers already.
Oh, yeah. The capacity hit is significant.
Drone strikes reportedly knocked out about 17% of Russia's refining capacity by mid-August.
17%. That's roughly 1.2 million barrels per day offline.
And it didn't stop there. By the end of August, that number climbed even higher.
It peaked around 21%, yeah. So 1.4 million barrels per day. Think about taking a fifth of a major national industry offline in just weeks.
That's huge. You'd expect to see ripples from that pretty quickly.
And really they are.
Yeah.
Domestic gasoline prices in Russia, they're up by about a tenth.
Yeah, and reports of sporadic queues at filling stations starting to appear. That brings the war home in a very visible way.
Definitely. It's one thing to read about the front lines. It's another when you can't fill up your car easily.
There's another interesting side effect mentioned in the LSEG data you flagged. It's about trade shifts.
Right, the London Stock Exchange Group data. Because Russia can't refine as much crude oil.
They're forced to export more of it as crude. Raw material, basically.
Which sounds counterintuitive, maybe, but refined products like gasoline fetch a higher price.
So by hitting the refineries, Ukraine is indirectly forcing Russia to sell a lower value product.
It seems that way. It could actually be reducing the overall cash inflow, even if the volume of crude exports goes up. It complicates their whole export picture.
How does this shift, this forced selling of crude, actually change things globally? Or maybe within OPEC plus PAV? That's a fascinating angle.
It's definitely something to watch. It puts Russia in a potentially awkward spot with its partners who are trying to manage supply and keep prices high.
Okay, so let's broaden out a bit. The political context here is charged. Remember that comment Trump reportedly made to Zelensky?
Oh, the "you don't have the cards" line.
Yeah. Well, this drone campaign. It feels like Kyiv just dealt themselves a pretty significant new card. An ace, maybe?
It's definitely a demonstration of capability, of leverage they perhaps didn't have or weren't perceived to have before. It shows they can inflict pain far from the battlefield.
And that changes narratives, potentially strengthens their position when asking for more support.
True. But we have to remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of an escalatory cycle.
Absolutely. Russia, in turn, has been hitting Ukraine's energy infrastructure hard. Power grids, gas facilities.
Causing blackouts, water shortages. It's a brutal tit-for-tat on energy targets.
And Russia's official line, despite the damage they're taking, is defiance. They call Ukraine's attacks escalatory, but say they won't be forced to change course.
Standard rhetoric? Maybe. But defiance doesn't magically repair a complex refinery unit.
Which brings us to the long-term outlook. Are these attacks just causing problems, or could they be catastrophic for Russia's war effort?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
We need some balance here. Sergei Vakulenko, an expert cited in the sources from the Carnegie Russia Eurasia Center.
Right, the oil and gas specialist.
He made the point that while Russian refineries are definitely facing problems, things are, in his words, far from catastrophic. At least not yet.
That yet is doing a lot of work there. His point, I think, is crucial. One hit might cause disruption.
But it's the repeated successful strikes that really take things offline long term. You have to keep hitting them.
Especially the complex parts. A storage tank is one thing, relatively easy to repair or replace.
But hitting something like a catalytic cracker, that's different.
Totally different. That's specialized equipment, often Western-made, and with sanctions.
Getting spare parts becomes a massive headache. Difficult, slow, expensive, if possible at all.
Exactly. So if Ukraine can keep hitting those complex, hard-to-replace components, that's where the real long-term damage could accumulate.
So the real test is sustainability. Can Ukraine keep up this pace? Can they keep finding and hitting those critical nodes faster than Russia can repair, replace, or defend them?
It becomes a war of attrition, almost. Not just on the battlefield, but against infrastructure and supply chains. The real war might be between drones and spare parts availability.
And that forces Russia to divert resources, attention, air defenses away from the front lines to protect these sites scattered across a vast territory.
It's a drain, a constant nagging pressure deep inside their own country.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core takeaway here seems pretty clear. Ukraine's developed this surprisingly potent long-range drone capability
And they're using it strategically.
to apply direct economic and logistical pressure on Russia in a cost-effective way. It's a capacity few saw coming, certainly not on this scale.
It demonstrates reach, planning, and an ability to adapt their strategy significantly. But the real question mark hangs over the future.
Right. It's not just about can they hit these targets.
It's can they hit them repeatedly? Can they
well.
keep degrading that refining capacity faster than Russia can patch it up, especially given the sanctions? Which side's energy sector ultimately takes the bigger, more lasting hit in this escalating energy war? That's what we'll be watching.
A sobering thought to end on.
Indeed.
You've been listening to The Military Point. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time.